Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Kathleen Lovito, and I'll be your host for today's webinar titled Transitioning from the Military. Joining me today is Matt Hicks, Relationship Manager for AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust. We'll conduct a question and answer series at the end of this presentation. So if you have a question during the presentation, please enter it into the question bar on your screen. The information presented herein was compiled from sources believed to be reliable. This presentation is for educational purposes and is furnished without responsibility for completeness or accuracy. It's general information and is not specific investment, legal, or tax advice for any individual. Do not rely on this presentation alone to guide your financial planning decisions. Since each individual situation is unique, your needs for financial services will differ. For individual advice, please contact us directly. We produce this webinar series in-house with our own professional staff as a service to our members and help them better understand the resources available to them. I will now turn it over to Matt to begin the presentation.
Good morning, AAFMAA members. My name is Matthew Hicks, Relationship Manager with AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust. The subject of today's webinar is transitioning out of active duty military service. Before getting to the subject at hand, I would like to thank AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust Relationship Manager Steve Gailing, Colonel, U.S. Army retired, several AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust members, and my friends who are veterans for their insights into the transition process. This is our agenda for today. We're going to be going over our organization and what we do, transition planning, and then specific information in regards to retirement and separation planning. A quick background on the company. This webinar series is brought to you by AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust. Our mission is to be the premier provider of financial planning, investment management, and trust services for all branches of the military. Our goal is to help ensure the financial security and independence of members of the armed forces community, active, retired, and honorably discharged service members and their families. We serve our clients by building an ongoing relationship with them, focusing on their individual needs and meeting those needs through our significant experience in the financial world. I have personally been working in the financial world for over 20 years. We transition throughout life, child to adult, single to married, married with children, empty nesters, basic training to different units, billet to billet, base to base, rank to next rank. These transitions take place over a period of years. One of the biggest transitions for service members occurs when you leave military service. Whether it's full retirement or a second career is without a doubt one of the biggest challenges service members make in their lives. Regardless of the amount of time a person serves, leaving the military is a life-changing experience. When a service member comes to the point in his or her career that they decide to retire from the military, this transition is one of the biggest you will ever make. Your length of service, medical issues, and your overall retirement planning during your service are critical factors in determining your next steps. The vast majority of service members go on to second careers, even if they have served 30 years or more in the military. As we all know, we did not join our branch of service for the pay. We joined to serve our country. Planning has always been a guiding principle in everything we have done in the armed forces. Transition is no different. Transition into full retirement or the civilian workforce has two common elements, the financial aspect and the medical aspect. You should begin that planning as soon as humanly possible. The first aspect of your transition we're going to discuss in detail is the medical side. Between 4 and 6 months out, you should attend an ACP, ACAP, or TAP workshop. Develop a transition plan, schedule physical and dental appointments, consult a VA counselor if you should file a disability claim. You may find that some of your medical issues, like hearing loss, will limit jobs that you can get in the civilian community. Between 2 and 4 months out, submit your leave and permissive TDY request. Obtain your retirement or separation orders, scan or make copies of all personnel and medical records. When should I begin my financial transition? If your retirement is more than 6 months out, determine eligibility for retirement and benefits. Estimate your retirement pay, assess your finances, begin paying down debt. Schedule a portfolio review with AAFMAA Wealth Management Trust. If your separation is more than 6 months out, assess your finances, begin paying down debt. Assure you have enough savings to cover all expenses until you begin your new career. Overestimate the money you will need for this period. Also, schedule a portfolio review with AAFMAA Wealth Management Trust. Retirement from working life is another of the biggest transitions you'll ever experience in your adult life. From a financial perspective and day-to-day perspective, your life will change forever. The most important question you need to answer before you retire is if you want to. If you are not ready to end your service and you are still physically capable, then I suggest you should continue. The next step in preparing for retirement is ensuring that you are financially ready. Consider the following: your retirement pay, disability pay, if applicable, your age. Assuming you began your military career in your early 20s and served for 30 years, you are likely retiring in your early 50s. The average lifespan in the United States for men is 76.8 years. Your final consideration is your retirement savings. For those of you who have been participating in TSP, active management of your TSP is something you may have overlooked due to deployments, PCS, and family obligations. Now that you're leaving the military, it is important that you revisit your TSP investment styles. The TSP program, developed by the Department of Defense for service members to create an additional retirement account beyond their military pension. TSP has a number of ways that the service member can save for retirement by offering different funds. For example, the C Fund invests in common stocks. The I Fund invests in international stocks, and the G Fund invests in U.S. government bonds. They also have life cycle funds, which are designed to grow your retirement over time and gradually shift into preserving those savings as you get closer to retirement. For example, the TSP life cycle funds are an excellent way to grow your retirement savings as you move through your military career. If we assume that you joined the military in the year 2000 and planned on a 30-year career, you might have invested in the TSP Life Cycle 2030 Fund. The TSP Life Cycle funds are designed to give a service member growth of their investments and preservation of them towards the end of the fund's life. At the start, you are heavily weighted into equities, 75%, in a growth mode. At the 20-year mark of your career, the L2030 fund has gradually shifted the weighting of the asset mix from 75% equities to less than 50% at this point in time. This is very similar to the mortgage on your home. At some point in time, your mortgage payments shift from the majority of your payments going towards interest and the majority going towards principal. As you close out your career in 2030, the TSP L2030 fund has moved to a much more conservative approach. 70% of your investment is devoted to fixed income. When the L2030 fund closes out, all of your investment is shifted into the G fund, which is comprised of U.S. government securities. If you enlisted in the military at age 20 and enjoyed a 30-year career, there is a period after your service you will need sufficient funds if you choose to fully retire. The continued growth of your retirement savings will be critical, helping you live the life you want to. Now we're going to look at the other road that service members take, a second career. Whether you're retiring or separating from the service at the end of your obligation, planning is the key to your next career. The transition from military service to the civilian world is unlike any other. The most important resource, the people you know. What makes this transition different? You are less likely to encounter people who have done the same things you have, had similar experiences to yourself or your family. Transitioning to this unfamiliar world must be planned. Who do you know and how can they help? Many of us have had friends who have left the military at the end of their initial service obligations. You should ask for introduction to their employers, connect on social media like LinkedIn, and network. Ask members of your unit for networking suggestions. If your separation is more than 6 months out, you should start researching the job market, network with people and organizations, and attend job fairs. Again, allow me to emphasize networking. It is the #1 most important activity that you can do to prepare for the end of your service. If your separation is between 2 and 4 months out, take advantage of career evaluation services. Begin researching career choices and job options. Prepare your resume and continue to expand your network. Part of networking is keeping in contact with the people you meet. I suggest calling or otherwise getting into contact with important relationships every 3 weeks. The civilian job market is focused on the here and now. If your separation or retirement is more than 6 months out, corporate recruiters and networking contacts may forget about you. They may not know what their company's requirements will be when you transition. Stay in contact with everyone that you meet. As I'm sure you're aware, your resume is the key to a second career. It is critical that you avoid all military acronyms that have been a part of your daily life. Civilian human resource professionals will not understand the vast majority of them. If you do not emphasize your leadership skills, your responsibilities, your achievements, and the basic qualities that we all learned, you could find yourself at a significant disadvantage. Many veterans are concerned when they leave the military that they do not have any marketable skills. In fact, the opposite is true. Many of the military skills you learned can and do translate into the civilian world. Teamwork. There is no greater team than the military. Commitment. You can't job hop in the military. Communication. You learn how to successfully interact at all levels. Dedication. You learned that the day you signed up. Following orders. No one starts out as the boss. You learn to follow orders and rules. Problem solving. You're bound to have some excellent problem solving experience under your belt after your time in the military. Adaptability. The only constant is change, and this holds true in both military and civilian jobs. And finally, respect. One of the most important skills your time in the military instilled in you. Here are a few resources that some of your fellow service members have used in their transition. There are a number of programs that you can use to find a second career. The Department of Defense Skills Bridge Program. This is an OSD mandated program that requires your chain of command. Job training, employment skills training, apprenticeships, and internships. Military One Source. Shift Military Fellowship, Hiring Our Heroes, and American Corporate Partners. Here are some additional resources that you can use on your journey. I particularly recommend military.com's Resume Translation. It's a great resource for those transitioning to civilian employment. Hire Our Heroes. How should a veteran prepare their resume? Military One Source. One resource that will be of particular interest to you is the article written by Carlos Perez, U.S. Army retired, Chief Operating Officer and Assistant Secretary of AAFMAA, the parent company of AAFMAA Wealth Management Trust. You can find this article on AAFMAA's website in the Learning Hub under blogs. Also from AAFMAA, the Survivor Benefit Plan, AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust Social Security Analyzer, militarypay.defense.gov, retirement calculators, benefits.va.gov, compensation and benefits rates. Again, I would like to thank the relationship managers of AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust and AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust members who gave me wonderful insight into their transition stories. I appreciate you for joining me today webinar, and I hope it has provided some insight into your transition, whether it be a transition into retirement or into a second career. Now I'd like to take a moment to answer several audience questions.
Great, let's take a look at this first one, Matt. How important is networking to my transition?
I cannot stress networking enough. Reach out to every single person you know. It does not matter if they are in the field you want to go into. Odds are they know someone who can introduce you to someone who is. Go all the way back to grade school if you think it will help. Reach out to all your friends on Facebook, LinkedIn, people you served with who have left the military. I can think of one instance where someone I served with reached out to me to help his daughter get a job in the advertising world. He knew that both my wife and my sister-in-law worked in advertising. You just never know.
All right, here's another one. I am transitioning a federal job. Should I combine my military TSP with my civilian TSP?
Yes, you can, but if you do, you will not have the opportunity to have an organization like AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust give you far more options in terms of investment strategies and a portfolio specifically designed for when you retire. The fee structure of TSP in 2018 was $40 per $1,000 invested. This is a very low management fee, but it does not provide the active management of your assets like AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust does.
All right, that's some great insight. All right, here's our last question. If I am going to retire completely, should I speak to a financial planner?
You should absolutely speak to a financial planner. The financial planning services that AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust offers are specifically geared toward active duty, veterans, and retired military. Since the overwhelming majority of AAFMAA employees are former military or the spouses of military personnel, we really understand where you're coming from. Thank you again to everyone who joined me for today's webinar. AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust has relationship managers throughout the country who are excited to be able to serve you and your family. Please get into contact with me either through email or by phone if you're planning a transition in your life and would like to discuss financial planning and engagement. This presentation is educational. It is for general information only and is not investment specific, legal, or tax advice for any of you individually. Do not rely on this presentation alone to guide your financial planning decisions. Since each individual situation is unique, your needs for financial services will differ. For individual advice, please contact us directly. We produce this webinar series in-house with our own professional staff as a service to our members and to help them better understand the resources that are available to them. We have highlighted here two distinct characteristics that separate AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust from other service providers. Our fiduciary standard to that which is best in the interest of the client and exclusively serving the U.S. Armed Forces community. The information herein was compiled from sources we believe to be reliable. It is intended for illustrative purposes only and is furnished without responsibility for completeness or accuracy. Market views as of the presentation date are subject to change at any time or reason. Nothing in this presentation should be construed as a recommended for any specific security or sector. Illustrative charts were obtained from multiple subscriptions-based sources and are subject to provider terms and conditions. Information provided by AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust, LLC, is not intended to be tax or legal advice. Nothing contained in this communication should be interpreted as such. We encourage you to seek guidance from your tax or legal advisor. Past performance does not guarantee future results.